Hey, I'm talking today about how to have more faith in God. The power of faith in God. Just kind of, I'm sure that you already recognize how your life will be better if you have a stronger connection to God. If you feel that He's there, that He loves you, that He cares about you, and then when He gets involved in your life, He's able to open up more doors for you. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I have learned so that you can have the kind of faith to create the life you want to live. All right, I'm super excited to talk to you about this subject. This is a subject that I need to be reminded of all the time. How to have more faith in God, how to use this faith to boost your levels so that you can bring about amazing things. Now I got to tell you, faith is a constant challenge for me. And in fact, right now, as we're talking, I am going through this amazing faith crisis that is just taking me to the very edge. Let me share a little bit about that story with you, and then I will share with you some ideas on how you can actually boost and increase your faith so that you can get the kind of life that you want to live where you have that strong connection. Okay, so for me, I'm a commercial filmmaker. And I was speaking with a woman who had this amazing story about growing up in a home with a mom with multiple personalities. She had a mental illness. It's now called dissociative identity disorder, I believe, DID. But back then it was called multiple personalities. Her mom had 14 different alters. These different personalities that she would kind of switch into. Anyway, she shared this story with me. It was heart-wrenching, and it was dark, and it was scary, and it was horrible, and yet she's a public speaker, and she speaks about hope, about resilience, about understanding mental illness and those with mental illness, understanding in a way of compassion, where she wants to bring mental illness into the public conversation. She has these noble ideas and these noble pursuits. Well, in telling me this, she said, well, can you create a 3-minute speaker film that will tell my story in a way that everyone will understand who I am, why I'm here, and what I'm about really quickly. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, yeah, let's talk about that. And when I got the download, and that's really what I would call it. I'd call it a download, where I was given all of this information about what the story should be, how we should tell it, and a lot of the elements that went into it. For example, we're going to tell the story through dance. It's going to be beautiful. So imagine how you can show multiple personalities through multiple dancers. Anyway, it's going to be beautiful. We're excited. We actually film a week from Saturday. And here's where the challenge comes. As we got the download, as we got the information that I feel came from the other side, these answers to prayers and these indications that we needed to move forward. The timing all clicked into place. Everything clicked into place. The only thing that hasn't clicked into place is the funding. That's a rather important thing if you're creating a film. And this film requires many artists. We have 6 different dancers associated with it. We have a choreographer. We have a composer who's created original music. We've got live strings in there. We've got a cinematographer who is amazing. We've got gaffers and first assistants, and it's a pretty big deal. And yet we don't have the funding yet. But the interesting thing is, all along the way, we've had these promptings, these impressions that said, you need to move forward, everything's going to work out. Now, I would love to come on camera here and tell you everything is worked out, totally trust. And I can't tell you that because it hasn't yet worked out. I'm getting right to the edge. We film in like 7-8 days, and we don't have the funding yet. And I'm a little bit on edge about this, and that's why this topic resonated with me, and I thought, I want to talk about this. I want to share some of the things that I've learned. So let me share with you one thing that I've learned, and I've learned that God is a fourth watch God. And I don't know if you know kind of in the olden days, in the Jewish traditions, they had this thing where there were 4 watches in the night, and each watch I think was like 3 different hours, something like that, or 2 hours. And the 4th watch was just they say it's darkest before the dawn. That's when the fourth watch is. It's right at the very end. And I know there's this great story of Christ when he sends his disciples in a little boat across the sea to get to their next place while he goes to pray. Well, they toil all night rowing and fighting against this massive storm, and they are so tired, and then he comes walking to them. This is when Peter walks on the water, but he comes walking to them seeing that they have toiled, and he comes in the fourth watch. See, the thing is I'm kind of a first watch kind of guy. I kind of like to have the answers and the help right at the very beginning. But he's a fourth watch God. And you can see this pattern probably in your life. I know you can see it in scriptures and other things, but you will see this pattern repeated where God comes at the last possible moment. I remember one time my wife and we were living in Indianapolis at the time. I was working in the advertising industry, and I felt it was time for us to move on, likely to another state. We followed these spiritual impressions. I had another job opportunity in Wisconsin at a very creative shop, so I gave them 2 months notice, and we prepared for the move. And I didn't want to split up, leaving Becca behind to sell the house, so following the impressions we had, we put our house up for sale. Well, it wasn't too long after this that the new job fell through. So soon I would have no job, and to add to the pressure, the house sold. We circled a date on the calendar knowing that was the date that we needed to move out and knowing we needed to have a new job by then. I would love to tell you this story about how I had amazing faith stepping out into the darkness, but you know what? My knees quivered the whole time. I was angry, I was frustrated, I was almost in despair as we got closer and closer and closer to that deadline circled in the kitchen. And I got to tell you, I had 3 different job possibilities that we were counting on in 3 different states. And on that very last day, I called each of those, and one by one, each fell through. Well, the interesting thing was, and I dropped to my knees, I'm praying, I felt like I'd been kicked in the stomach, it was so hard to breathe. And I dropped to my knees and we prayed and prayed and prayed for our deliverer. Then an interesting thing happened. About a half an hour later, I got a call from an agency I'd only heard about the week before. They called me, they'd seen my work, they heard I was choosing between 3 other agencies, and they made me an offer on the spot. Now, I don't know why God often waits to the last possible minute to step in and answer our prayers, but I got to tell you that is a consistent pattern that comes up over and over and over again. So in the story that I'm telling you about right now, about where I'm at, and we don't know how we're going to get the money to film this. We've got the crew already hired. We've got a location. We've got dancers that are practicing. We've already built the music, recorded the music, and yet we don't have the funding yet to finish it. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know what's going to happen. But I do want to share with you that I do trust that God's going to come through somehow, some way, and it might be at the very last minute. But I've come to learn that God is a fourth watch God. So hopefully with whatever you are going through in your life, and if you are struggling to have more faith in Him, look at the patterns that He has, because it seems like this is a consistent pattern that comes up over and over again, and maybe it's because He can do more with our lives when we are pushed to the edge than He can when we're just coasting along. So anyway, I want to share that with you. Hopefully these kinds of stories help build your faith. Hopefully they give you encouragement as to what you can do and how you can trust in Him to get over the chasm, to get where you're wanting to go. And I hope that helps you. And make sure you subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this, and if you want to develop your life into the kind of life that you really want. I'll share as many ideas and as many stories as I have found that be helpful. Thank you very much. What can you add? Now, are you ready to join the conversation? Are you willing to add your voice, your thoughts, your ideas, your impressions? If so, add them in the comment section below. We need your voice. Now, if you have been inspired to take action, don't let an impression slip by. Train yourself to listen to and follow your inner voice. Of course, the best place to take action is at scottwilhite.com, because if you join me for a free web class, you will receive a copy of my Purpose Planner, the tool you've been missing that will help you uncover your purpose. You can totally do this. Your roots produce your fruits. Choose your beliefs and pick your identity. It is choice, not chance, that determines your reality. See you next time.